What we are living through is a time of great upheaval, because we are witnessing, and not just since this summer, but over the past few years, the end of what we might have seen as abundance. And for those who enjoyed it, it is also the end of a carefree time.
Reducing inflation is likely to require a sustained period of below-trend growth. While higher interest rates, slower growth, and softer labor market conditions will bring down inflation, they will also bring some pain to households and businesses. These are the unfortunate costs of reducing inflation. But a failure to restore price stability would mean far greater pain.
We will look back and we'll be discussing with our grandchildren, and they'll say, were you really alive in a time of negative interest rates when there were $19 trillion of sovereign debt with a negative yield, meaning we are paying governments to borrow from them? I mean, it is unheard of. And in 5,000 years of recorded history, it's never happened. And we are now reaping the whirlwind from that. And massive debt was added, because if debt doesn't cost anything, of course you borrow. And that, of course, means misallocation of capital. And misallocation of capital means someone is going to lose money somewhere along the line. So we are now in the end game. And the Fed, of course, is fighting to hold on here and retain its credibility. And it's going to be very volatile and very disruptive.
I mean, how do we make it through the coming decades without a big war, Kiril?
I think the chances are very slim, very slim, very slim, very slim, very slim.
So you just heard Emmanuel Macron, who's the president of France, saying this is the end of an era of abundance. After that, you heard the Federal Reserve Chairman, Jerome Powell, saying that there will be pain in the households and in the businesses of people in America to try and get inflation under control. Then you heard Kiril Sokoloff on Nate Hagen's podcast called The Great Simplification, saying that this is endgame for the Federal Reserve as they try to maintain some kind of semblance of control in a very volatile time. Now, I try not to be an alarmist. I end up talking about these things which get people's nervous system on edge. So to that end, I am going to offer a guided meditation at the end of this. But first, I'm going to give you 3 things that you can immediately start doing, not only to protect yourself against this end game, but also to understand what's happening as a product of collective karma or past decisions.
We're about to go into a dark winter. A dark winter.
Send your chickens out in the morning from your barnyard. Those chickens will return that evening to your barnyard, not your neighbor's barnyard. I think this is a prime example of the devil's chickens coming back home to roost.
The chickens have come home to roost, haven't they, Malcolm? But the older generations use their blaming fingers a lot. They look to the outside world to figure out where do we place our blame. Therefore, we know how to usher all of our emotions based upon what's going on in the world out there. So there's nothing really to account for in here. But we're going to need all those blaming fingers to brace for impact. If I'm wrong and the 2020s are smooth sailing years, I will eat a plate of fingernails. And I am not into that shit anymore. But if I'm right, we will all be eating those chickens that have come home to roost because we'll need to. So I'll also give you a recipe at the end, maybe. Go to benjosephstewart.com if you want to see the rest of this and sign up, become a member. You'll get access to all the deeper dives and the awakening protocols. And if you're already here, let's dive in.